Hello and welcome to Shades of Blue Breaking Bread. Uh, I am so happy to be joined today. You know their work from All for 11, you know their work from SB Nation Soccer, you know their work from The Athletic covering the Women's World Cup this past year. I am so pleased to be joined today. Please round nice warm welcome for our guest Kudzi Musaruwa. We are so happy to have you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I think this is one of the first Breaking Bread episodes that we've actually ever had that has actually been um, directed solely towards the women's side, and there's a very big match coming up on Sunday um, in the WSL table, pitting Manchester City against Liverpool, and who better to have on than a Liverpool fan? And I guess my first question for you is what drew you to Liverpool as a club?
Yeah, so just before we start, I do want to put it out there that I don't know what is going on with my laptop today, but if I do cut out, I'll be right back. um, so yeah, just generally speaking, I can't even tell you what exactly like drew me to the team, so to speak. I just remember when I was, growing up as a kid, um, myself and my dad and my brother, we used to watch a lot of football growing up back home. And my dad and my brother, my dad particularly was an Arsenal fan, so my brother's an Arsenal fan as well. But for whatever reason, I think we were watching. Either it was like a cup game or like a Premier League game or something like that with Arsenal and Liverpool, and I just ended up supporting Liverpool. That's just literally how it happened. I can't like pinpoint and say, oh, this was the exact moment kind of thing. It's just that day we were watching them, and I was like, oh, I like this team better than Arsenal. And at the time I was a kid, so my dad didn't really say anything, more than "Are you sure?" kind of thing. And then he was like, because those are the back in the days when like I think Arsenal was like the Invincibles and stuff like that. So I was just like, yeah, no, they seem fun, and it's red, it's a nice color, it's like all red kit. And then my dad was like, okay, well, you're free to change your mind later on if you want, kind of thing, right? Because, like I said, I was quite young. So, but as time went on, I just never changed. I was like caught, and that was it. Liverpool was my team.
That's, I mean, first of all, shout out to your dad, like to, just kind of like let you form your own fandom.
Yeah.
I know that for me, for the standpoint of American football, I was told by my father, if you ever root for a team that is not mine, I will disown you. So, so that's a refreshing refreshing to hear that. Yeah, we're uh, allowing children to be children and make their own choices. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that over the course of the history of women's football being reintroduced to England professionally, as far as larger clubs go, Liverpool was kind of behind. I know that this is, I believe, your second or third, the Liverpool second or third season in the WSL, correct?
It's actually a little bit more complicated than that, because basically what happened was when the WSL kind of was really hitting its stride, like I think this was when before City like started to really invest in them and stuff like that. Obviously Manchester City, I mean, and before Manchester United started to really invest, the two teams that were at the top were actually Arsenal and Liverpool back then. And then our owners, as they tend to do sometimes, they don't always invest. They'll invest like 1 year, and then the next year be like, yeah, we invested enough, so no more this year, kind of thing. And that's essentially what happened on the women's side. We just didn't invest enough at a time when like Chelsea were beginning to invest, Arsenal were beginning to invest more, United started to come in, City were investing more, and even like teams like Everton and so forth, they were starting to invest more, and we weren't. And that's essentially what happened. And we went from like being WSL champions to being relegated, like in like a couple of seasons, right?
Wow.
So, and that was just purely down to lack of investment. And so even the last time we were champions, Matt Beard was actually in charge, and then he left, and then he went to the US. As I don't know if you still remember that when he was at the Boston Breakers.
Yes, yes, I remember the Boston Breakers.
Yeah. So he was there for a bit, and then after that, he came back to Liverpool, and I guess whatever they told him was enough for him to be like, okay, I'm committed to this. I'll see it through, for as long as they want me, kind of thing. So they after that, we started off in the second division, and then we got promoted, and yeah, the rest is history, kind of thing. But yeah, we were there before, and then when everyone else started to invest, we didn't, so we went down the table.
Gotcha, gotcha. I actually want to talk about Matt Beard because it sounds like he is, in a lot of ways, like a club legend for Liverpool
Hmm.
football, women's football club.
Hmm.
Like I, which is kind of, if you think about it, is a little bit rare outside of Emma Hayes with Chelsea. Like you don't really have um, that standard bearer, I guess, for a
Yeah.
lack of a better term, that's really like promoting women's football and like can be seen as a legend in the league.
Yeah, I personally think he is a legend because, like I said, he helped the team to a WSL championship at the time when, like, as we all know, there wasn't like the WSL wasn't at the level it is now. Like, I can freely admit that it was just not the same. The quality wasn't the same, levels wasn't the same. But I remember that team that, again, Gemma Bonner was at the Liverpool team at that time, and then she left and she came back. But we had Lucy Bronze as well. We had oh, why am I forgetting her name right now? But she was with Liverpool, and then she was with Atletico for a bit, and then she came to City for a while. Why am I forgetting her name?
Um, I know Alex Greenwood was there for a while.
Not Alex Greenwood. Yeah, yes to Alex Greenwood, but
Yes.
the other person I'm thinking of is gone. Like I can't right now. I cannot
Yeah.
remember her name. But yeah, we had like and why am I forgetting all these people? Farrell Williams and stuff like that. So we had like quite a few people that even played for the national team for England, right? And that was when Matt Beard initially, when he did his first stint with us, that's where he was there. And then, like I said, we won the championship. Other teams started to invest. We couldn't keep up because our owners at that point in time decided not to invest. So we went down the table. But in my eyes, yeah, he's a legend. He's as much of a legend as Laura Harvey is for Arsenal back in the days when, because she was in charge when they won the Champions League, the only
Right.
time they've ever won the Champions League, right? And yeah, for us, he is a legend. He is like, when he's done, when he's finished, I think like in terms of like how he's seen, he'll be seen almost at the same level as Klopp for the men, right? Because of everything that
Wow.
he's done for the team.
Wow. That it doesn't necessarily surprise me that that is the case, but like that's very high praise. And I
Yeah.
think I think that what's most interesting to me about Matt Beard is that he is so he is doing the most amazing tactical things in
Hmm.
the league, just based off of his formation. Um, it's been a while since I have pulled up some Boston Breakers tape, but was he this tactically flexible with his first stint with Liverpool? Was that kind of his one of his trademarks, or was it more of a motivational thing? Or
I actually think he got, the more he sort of over the years, like with him going out to Boston and coming back, and I think he started to develop more of that tactical acumen. I would say at during his first stint, yes, he had it, but it was more of, he was able to get the right kind of quality players together in a formation, in a shape that worked for the team, right? And again, because of, in terms of investment, we were, at that time, we were one of the teams with more investment than everyone else. We were able to field a team that was better than everyone else, kind of thing, apart
mm,
from Arsenal at that point in time. So then I think he didn't have to rely too much on tactics because he had like really good players compared to everyone else in the league, and therefore, even if the tactics weren't quite working that day, then he could just say, Lucy Bronze, go do something special, kind of thing, right? Or Like anyone else who was on that team at that time. And I just right now I'm blanking on a lot of the names, but there's quite a few like players that people know that have come through Liverpool and have left Liverpool, when things started to take a turn, and then they came back again, like for example, Jim Bonner. But yeah, I think over time, because anyone who watched him with the Boston Breakers will tell you that yes, he had tactical acumen, but it wasn't where it is now. And that's why he struggled so much in Boston. So once he came back to Liverpool the second time, I think he had figured out tactically how he is as a manager and also how to implement it, because now he was in a position with Liverpool where he didn't have the same quality type of players that he had before. So he had to say, okay, I don't have the same quality, and our aim is to get promoted. We get promoted. We cannot right now financially compete like Chelsea, Arsenal, City, United. We're not there yet. And all those players and everything like that they have, we can't compete with that. So we just have to be better tactically. And that's how he came about to what he's doing now in this season.
So, we mentioned like all of the fun and exciting tactics that he has. And you also mentioned Gemma Bonner. I think one of the things that I am so interested in with her coming back is like she also seems to be one of those club legends as well. Like I know that she was the one that scored the goal against Arsenal,
Yeah.
the first match of the season, like which was like that was a record attendance number for Arsenal and like at the Emirates, and you guys took all 3 points. Like that's
Yeah, that was a crazy day. I mean, Gemma Bonner to me, and like this again, this is my personal opinion, but I think again she'll be another one when she's done with Liverpool who will be an absolute legend, because she was there for the first stint. She was a vital piece of that team at that point in time, to the point where people were like, why is she not being selected for England? She keeps putting in performance after performance after performance, and yet others keep getting picked over her who, in our opinion at the time, weren't as good as her. And so she has always been a very good, consistent performer for Liverpool. She's not the fastest, right? But she does have great physique, so she uses that really well. And I think a key thing with her, which is what she's brought now to this kind of new version of Liverpool, is her understanding of the game, her reading of the game, and her positioning. And so by putting her in that three-back system, you cover her speed, right? By having two people next to her who are faster. But then she can then also control that back line because of her understanding of the game, again, her positioning. And it's working really, really well for us right now.
for sure. Like there is no question that she is definitely like the linchpin of your back line of the defense. Like that's um everything stops and starts with her. To
Yeah.
to me is when I look at a Liverpool match for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I think I want to go a little bit more outside of your, or no, still within your team, but like more on the wings. Like
Mm.
to me, I believe that you all might have. Oh, I think we got somebody in the Emily Higginbotham is telling us in the comments. Vic Akers might be the player that you were referencing.
Is it Vic Akers? Oh, it probably is. It could be. Emily might be right. I just could not remember who it was. My brain just.
It's okay. That is okay. Like it's late, it's cold everywhere. Like everybody just wants warmth and sunlight. So at least in the northern
Oh, no, no. She's saying you as the
the
Arsenal
Arsenal
coach.
coach. Oh,
Oh, no, no, no. It's who am I thinking of? Is it no, not Tony Doug? Is it Tony Duggan that I'm thinking
I know that she's played for City. I know that she currently plays for Everton. Like, but I think you're right. I think she joined City from Liverpool. I think.
of? I think. Oh man, you know what's it's gonna bug me, and then when we're done, I'm gonna look it up and be like, I should have known, kind of thing.
That is okay.
Yeah.
So the system that Matt Beard is currently playing, as you said, with three at the back, and then having those four midfielders, where you have those two outside wing backish midfielders players that can get up and down. I think to me, Taylor Hines is one of the
Yeah.
most exciting players in the WSL that no one is talking about.
I love her.
Uh,
I love her. I love Taylor. I really, really do. Like she's like to me, I'm like, you can't get more of a Liverpool captain than Taylor Hines. You cannot. It's like she epitomizes everything that you'd want in a captain for Liverpool. I love her to bits.
I mean, she's the real deal. And she's not gonna back away from any challenge. She's gonna take you on. She's got a really nice shot, and we know that she's got the sauce. Like it pains me to see people who talk about the WSL frequently not mention her name more frequently. But
Yeah, I agree.
I do you think that that's more of a function of like the fact that like I think that in the WSL because there's only those three spots for Champions League and there's only that one relegation spot. When people break down the WSL, you only really get that analysis of like, okay, well, who's at the top and who's going to get relegated. You don't really get that analysis, that mid-table analysis necessarily. And to me, this season, Liverpool is definitely the most consistent side outside of the top three.
Yeah, I think it also doesn't not so much doesn't help, but I mean the fact that she's not with the England national team also kind of keeps her underrated, so to speak. I think if she was getting called up and so forth, I know she's played for the under 23s here and there, but if she was getting called up to the senior national team more often, then people would be talking about her a whole lot more. But as of right now, I don't think she's in Serena Wiegman's plans, so to speak. And I mean, that's okay. She's still quite young. She still has plenty of time to break into that national team setup. But yeah, I think it's a combination of, Liverpool not considered as one of the top tier teams in the league, which is, true, right? Because you've got, like, as we were talking about, you've got City, Arsenal, Chelsea, United right now, the ones fighting for a Champions League spot. And then usually after them, people will talk about like Everton or Aston Villa or West Ham, right? Liverpool only now are getting into that conversation. So I do understand it from that point where should more people be talking about her? Yes, but I also get why they're not talking about her.
Do you think that the because Matt Beard does play a system that is so different than Serena's Vegman system, do you think that that's hurting her in getting those call ups to the national team?
No, I don't think so. I just think that, as with any other like manager of a national team, they always have like a couple of players that they have in mind, whether it be, in their immediate roster or sort of in the periphery. And I think at this point in time, she's just not quite there yet. I don't know how the FA works in England, right? Maybe she's already on the radar, but like lower down in the order, so to speak. Like, in the US, they have like, I don't know, what is it, like a 60-player list or something like that of all the
Yeah.
players that they consider. So I don't know if the FA do the same thing, but she's probably on a list like that, but just not high enough, to be getting call ups and stuff like that. I hope that changes because I think sooner or later, people should be talking about her. But as of right now, I can understand why she's not, in that kind of national team setup plan.
So I want to kind of pivot to the last time that City and Liverpool matched up. That was a Conti Cup match. That match was bananas.
Just a
Um,
little bit.
like anytime that any match produces 7 goals, it's like whoa, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
Um, I City did end up winning that match 4-3 at Prenton Park. What was your takeaway from that particular match?
Yeah. I think my biggest takeaway is that we just lost because we don't have the same quality. That was my biggest takeaway in terms of like the players on the field or pitch, I guess, and the depth that they, City have on their substitutes bench. We can't compete with that. I think if we were, had that kind of like squad where we had players equal to Cities, we might be having a different conversation of that result and who won and stuff like that. But I think that it, to me anyways, when I remember back to it when I was watching it and stuff, I was just like, oh, that player's just too good. There's nothing, like, for example, Lauren Hemp. What are we supposed to do about Lauren Hemp? We don't have the players to match up with her. We don't. That's just how it is. And so sometimes, you'll get lucky and City will like shoot and shoot and shoot and nothing will work, and then you score a couple of goals and you win, kind of thing, right? Like we've done with Chelsea a couple of times where they shoot and shoot and shoot and nothing happens, and then we score and we win. So sometimes that'll happen, but more often than not, quality comes through. And I think that's what happened in that game, is that we showed that we can compete with the very best. And again, in the league, we're doing that as well this season, that we're showing we can compete at the very, very top level. We just don't have the quality to then sustain it.
And because that was a midweek match, I know that you all had, like, we had played the weekend before in the league. You all had played the weekend before in the league. We both had a match the following weekend. How much did Matt Beard rotate that squad? Because I know that Gareth Taylor, like, that was a pretty big rotation for him because Ruby May started, like, Yui Hasegawa did not start that match. So,
Yeah.
and that was like kind of like where you all found a lot of joy.
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. He did have some rotation. I can't remember which players were rotated in and out right now, but yeah, he did have some rotation, but I don't think it was as wholesale as Cities. And I think the reasoning behind that is, again, we're just still trying to build consistency with the team that we have, with the formation that we have. I think the more games that collective play together in that system, the better they'll get, right? So, if I'm not mistaken, he didn't change out the whole team. Yeah, no, I can't remember exactly, but he didn't change out the whole team. He did have some rotation, sorry, but he didn't change out the whole team, which is what he tends to do anyways. Even in like the most recent FA Cup game, we had a couple of players come in who don't usually start, but again, a lot of the more regular starters were in that team as well.
Okay. So just kind of looking at the standings in the Conti Cup group that City are in, it does look like Liverpool has played all four of their matches and were only able to collect 3 points from
Yeah,
those matches. So it kind of looks like what you're saying does make a lot of sense. Like the managers kind of wants to build like continuity and stability with who plays. So more of a process oriented deal than like a results oriented deal.
yeah,
As a fan, like where do you come down on that? Like, do you, like, obviously every fan wants every trophy all of the time, like, right?
yeah.
Like, but at the same time, like, you seem like measure like intelligent. You obviously are intelligent enough about football to
Thank you.
to know, like, okay, like, my team can't win them all necessarily based off
Yeah,
of all of the limitations that she's like, as like, is there kind of like a push and pull, like a tug either way on that as a fan?
I think as of right now, I think I'm not alone in this. Most Liverpool fans are quite happy with where we are right now. We're not expecting to be, winning any major trophies right now. Just again because we can't compete. We're still playing catch up to everyone else, and so from that standpoint, I'm okay with everything going on right now. We seem to be all you can ask for when you're one of the outside teams, right? When you're not like the four that we mentioned, when you're one of the outside teams looking in, all you want is consistency, right? Build on each season until you get to the point where you start to challenge these top four teams more and more often. Now, I personally, this could be a bit of bias and a bit of rivalry coming through, but I think the team most vulnerable right now is Manchester United. And I think if we keep building the way we're building, we could probably leapfrog them if everything goes according to plan. So yeah, I mean, there's an opportunity there for us to leapfrog them. I don't think it'll happen this season, but we're building the right blocks towards that. So I'm being patient because not only because I know I have to be, but I feel like we're all in that space where we understand what's going on with the team. We can see that they're gradually building towards where we eventually want them to be, which is challenging, right? Um, but until we can get all the right players in and all that kind of stuff, we're fine with building each season.
I completely agree that, like, of the four teams that you mentioned, United is definitely the most vulnerable. I mean, I see that you all beat them at their place. That was
Yeah.
your, like, to end 2023 before the Christmas break.
Yeah.
Um,
Great Christmas present.
I mean, you know me, as a Man City fan, I always love to see any Man United team lose. So yes, absolutely. Um, I do, and I know that, and we're not going to touch too much about Manchester United, but, like, I mean, it's very apparent that, like, um, the club as a whole is in disarray, and that,
Yeah.
like, that starts from the top. Like, um, So, and I'm not sure how much the new investor is actually, what does that like? It's not really been talked about. Like, what does this mean for Manchester United women? So, like, I think that yes, Liverpool definitely does have that chance to um, sneak into that fourth spot and be that team because, like, it seems like Matt Beard is a manager that players would want to go play for.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I personally think he's a great coach, and I think the more investment he gets, the better everyone will see that for themselves, right? When he starts to get like to this day, I still don't know how we managed to sign Fuka Nakazano. Like I don't get it. I don't know how it happened, but she seems happy and settled. So long may it continue. I hope to keep her forever. But if we can start getting more and more players like her into the team, then you can really start to see what Matt Beard is about as a manager. Because I think tactically, I could say, he's shown that he's gotten the better of Emma Hayes. He's gotten the better of Jonas Idevall. He's gotten the better of, close to getting the better of Gareth Taylor. He's gotten the better of Mark Skinner, right? So tactically, he's right up there with the rest of them. It's just about now giving him the players to show that. And as I keep saying it, we're not there yet, and that's just the reality of it. And at some point, we're gonna start saying, okay, our owners, we need to invest more and more and more. But as of right now, we're quite happy with him just showing that even with lesser players, he can compete with the very best. So in about a season or two, we're going to start saying, okay, give him the better players. Let's go for this. Let's actually now start to challenge.
I completely agree. Like I'm I'm in on like I think that the vibes at Liverpool women are very high. Like, and it's not like it's obviously like we talked about United, like they're falling off. Like Chelsea's kind of like in a weird spot, and like you all already have like the road points against Arsenal at the Emirates. So
Mhm.
like like that. I mean, again, like what a banger way to start the season. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine, like for us, it was pretty early in the morning, right? Because we're
Right.
we're in North America. So I got up really early that day, and I was like, I just want to see. I just want to see what we can do. It's a new season. It's like a chance to like kind of put last season behind us because we weren't quite as consistent last season as we are now. But I was like, this is a chance to see. I know we had a really good preseason. Things seem to be clicking. If we can do something here at Arsenal like we did last season at Chelsea, and then build from that, I mean, not at Chelsea, sorry, with Chelsea. If we can then build from that, then I'll be really, really happy. So to start off with that, like in front of the Emirates, in front of such a massive, massive crowd, and you know how Arsenal fans are, to kind of put that in them right at the beginning of the season it felt pretty good.
Yes, yes, it did. Yes, it did. Because they're like that was just one of those every club in the WSL was just kind of like, he, look at what happened to Arsenal. Because
Yeah,
we all know what their fans are like.
yeah,
Um, so I guess, do you have any concerns that so I think like looking at this season and then looking at last season, um, hi Emily. Um, uh looking at this season, looking at last season, I think there are a lot of parallels between this year's Liverpool and last year's Aston Villa.
yeah.
Um, do you have any fear that the 24-25 season will see kind of that weird drop off
Mm.
of like what Aston Villa is experiencing currently?
Yeah, I think for us, the main thing would be, like ask me again in August or September, right after the transfer window. That would answer a lot of questions for me because as of right now, we don't have, like I've said before, we don't have quite the quality of depth as a lot of other teams. So, if a big injury happens, God forbid, but if a big injury happens to someone like Bonner or to like Nagasano or to Taylor Hines or to Sophie Roman Hogg or something like that. Like, if one of our linchpins gets a major injury, then we're going to struggle. We won't struggle as much as I think we would have done last season, but we're still going to struggle, and we might not be able to keep the pace that we're at right now. So if in the summer, the upcoming transfer window, we manage to get, a couple more depth players, and not just like, fill in the numbers depth players, but like players that who actively, push for a starting team position, starting role, push the players that we currently have to, even greater heights. And then again, if should something bad happen, they can then come in and fill in, and us not miss a beat. Sorry, then I'll be quite happy with that. So it'll all depend on what we do in the summer. That's how I see that particular season going. Because I think from a coaching standpoint, we're fine. So it's just about now, again, giving him the players that he needs to then keep progressing as he's doing right now.
So because we are in the transfer window, we're the silly season all over the world. Are there any player, like, obviously there's players that you would want, clearly, like, I mean, I want Sophia Smith, but like
Yeah,
that ain't gonna
that's
happen. Like, are there any rumors about players, like, especially like players playing in North America,
mm.
interested in coming to Liverpool?
I think from the North American side, no, I haven't heard anything, at least in terms of like potentially moving to Liverpool. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to assign, people from like, players from Scandinavia, because that's always a good place to kind of scout some players that might not necessarily have big names, but they're really quality players that can come in and do a job. I mean, if you were asking me, like I also follow Real Madrid, right, in Liga F. So if they, for example, if they don't get her signed to a new contract, I wouldn't mind seeing Teresa come to Liverpool. I think that would make me very, very happy. If she, wants to play in England, I'd be down with that. Someone like her coming to play for us would be great. So yeah, I as of right now, I haven't heard anything solid, anything concrete that I could say, you know what, this potentially could be a great player. And yeah, not from the North America at least, no.
Okay. So let's kind of like focus on this upcoming match on Sunday. So we know that it is at the Joy Stadium. Not quite as early in North America, since it's a little bit later in the UK. Thank you, WSL schedule makers.
Yeah,
Um,
more of that, please.
yes, please, and thank you, because that 5 a.m. alarm clock is rough on a Sunday.
Yes, very much so.
What what are you, um I like, to me, I think that it's probably been a long time since Yui and Fuka have like played against each other for club, and
Yeah,
like
it's yeah, it has
that's
been a while, hasn't it?
that's the matchup that I am most interested
Mm.
in seeing, because I think that, to me, whoever can get the better of that matchup is probably going to win the match.
I wouldn't actually be surprised if Matt Beard changes up the midfield a little bit so that Fuka actually doesn't go up against Yui. I wouldn't be surprised by that. Because he probably might think to counter that and not have them actually go up against each other, because he's like, they know each other too well, they'll just cancel each other out. So why not switch it up instead and see what happens then? I don't know if he will, but like I wouldn't be surprised if he did something like that, right? I think looking ahead to this game, again, I'd want us to be like competitive like we were in the Conti Cup, right? I still think City will win it, but I'm now at a point with Liverpool where I can say that if they do win it, yes, it'll be an upset, but it won't be as big of an upset as it was before, because they've shown that they're capable of competing at that level. So I feel like, it's kind of like whenever City play, for example, like Arsenal, Chelsea, or whatever, right? You
Mhm.
kind of know that, okay, listen, it's going to be really competitive. I think we have a great chance, but it wouldn't be surprising if the other team wins, kind of thing, right?
Gotcha. Mhm.
It's similar to that, where I'm just like, yeah, City are the better team on paper, so it's not entirely surprising if they win it. But I want us to be competitive, like from the very first whistle to the last, and just see if we can't exploit, unfortunately, some of Gareth Taylor's tactical failings, and in the meantime, then stop the City's attack from getting at us too often. I think that's a big one. I think you guys are losing. I think Shaw should be available, right? Shaw should be available.
She'll be available. I think that we had actually talked in our last episode about how, in the FA Cup match, like, one of the reasons why she got pulled is she had a lot of chances that she just did not finish.
Yeah.
And she just was not clinical. And like, even Gareth Taylor's post match comments, like, it was very apparent that like he was talking to her directly,
Mhm.
like, you need to be better.
Yeah,
which is what you want a manager to do. But like is that is a great band name. That is a
that's funny.
fantastic band name. um, in the chat, we have our good friend Daniel saying Gareth Taylor's Tactical Failings is a great band name, and I just agree. um, but she will be. I know that she will be available. I think that my understanding is that Alana Kennedy will also be available for this match, which I think that that will be big for us.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so.
other than, and I haven't seen if Emily Heaslip is the ref for this particular match. Other than that, and you know, Red Card FC from Manchester just like reappears again. Like, what type of game state, what like specifically what tactical advantages do you think that Beard can pull on Taylor to get a result at the Joy Stadium?
I think it's going to come down to, I think what he's going to try and do is he's not going to try and play through the midfield. Just this is my opinion. I think he's going to look at that midfield and say we're probably going to get shut down if we try and play through there. But in Sophie Roman Hogg, we have a perfect target striker. Like, she's so good in the air.
Mhm.
So if we can get our wing backs, to take opportune moments to get forward and then put the ball in for her, I mean, doesn't matter who she's up against. More likely than not, she can probably get to that ball, right? So I think the plan will be to be a bit more conservative, because he's seen from the Conti Cup that, if we try and go toe to toe with them, we might keep up for a little while, but then after a while, we're going to drop off just because we can't keep up. So he'll try to be a little bit more conservative, but I think he's going to use the wing backs quite a bit to try and determine how the game is going to go. And then, like as anyone knows in the 3-back system, right? You can either have that 5-back with the 5 flat, or you can have the wing backs push up a bit more to give you guys a bit more to give your team a bit more attacking impetus. So I think that's what he's going to try and do. I think depending on how he shapes the midfield, he might do just a 3 flat midfield, or he might do like 2 at the bottom and then 1 up top behind the strikers, because we tend to play with 2 strikers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what he might do, is like have that sort of triangle in the midfield to counter your usual 4-3-3, right? So to make sure that each person in midfield is marking someone, and therefore cut out the kind of possession style that you guys like to play. So
What I think that like one of my biggest frustrations about City is that like we our city does not do a very good job of uh we do set pieces, and like it's very apparent, and that's defending them, taking them, and City takes a lot of set pieces,
yeah,
a lot. It seems that Liverpool, when you guys get a set piece, like you all look to capitalize on that. I mean, like,
mm-hmm.
um, I mean, like Gemma Bonner is a weapon on those set pieces. Like, do you think that there will be any way that set piece play might help you all get a result?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I think anytime we get a set piece, just be prepared, because we do have great set piece takers as well, who can whip in the ball pretty well. And so I would expect anytime we get a free kick, they're going to try and put it in correctly so that we can have as many players as possible attack, because we tend to have really good people on set pieces who can either attack in the air, or even on the second ball or stuff like that. We tend to be really good at getting that second ball. So I wouldn't be surprised if we push for set pieces as well. But I think he's going to try. He won't be fully like pushing for set pieces. I think he's going to try and get goals in open play and stuff like that. But if we get set piece goals, no one's going to care, right? Like, if you score a goal, you score a goal. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, of course we're going to try and take advantage of set pieces because we're very good at them. But I think he's also going to try and counter you guys in open play as well, because just because of how good you can be in open play, I think for us, and you were talking about how you have your frustration with set pieces for you guys. For me, it's not I would say our frustration, or what I have in frustration with Liverpool, is that we don't always keep our concentration. That's a big thing for us. And there'll be games where we keep our concentration all the way. And then the other games where we keep our concentration for like 70 minutes and then it drops off and then it starts to get a bit dicey at the back. So against City and against the big teams and so forth, you have to keep your concentration all the way through. Otherwise, you'll lose the game. So if that's the one thing, I'd be like, okay, as time goes on, and even in this game against City, we just have to be locked in from the first whistle to the last. And Matt Beard can get that out of the team. He's shown that he can pull that out of the team. So that's our biggest thing. It's just we have to be on top of everything because one loose pass and it's over.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna put you on the spot. I'm not gonna give you a make a score prediction, but
no, don't do that.
Yeah, what is something that you believe that will happen in this match? Like whether it be some sort of action or something that you just know will happen in this match.
I think either Bonner or Roman Hogg is going to get on the score sheet. I think one way or the other, one of them is going to get on a set piece of some kind or on a cross of some kind, and they'll score. I think that's one thing. And then the other thing I'm thinking of potentially on, who starts and, how he plays out the game. But if the game is, getting into the later stages and it's still tight or, we're winning 1-0 or whatever, so City's really coming on to us, I wouldn't be surprised if he brought in someone like Van de Sanden or Missy Bo Kearns to just basically counter because their pace and their delivery, especially Missy Bo Kearns, her delivery is so good. So depending on, where the match is going in like the 80th minute or whatever, right? If we're winning by a goal to nil or something like that, and it's the 80th minute, so you guys are pushing forward, I can see that happening where he brings one of those two on if they didn't start, and then them producing like a knockout goal from nowhere.
And Shanice might be a quote unquote older player, but she can still burn.
She still has plenty of pace. Yeah, plenty of pace.
Like that's not going away.
Yeah.
Kudzi, thank you so much for joining us today. Like I have had such a good time. I kind of lost track of time. I was like, oh gosh, we've been talking for 45 minutes. This is amazing. Yeah. If you do not mind, please plug yourself. Where can we find your work? Where can we read more about this acumen that you clearly have that you just displayed in this 45 minutes?
So just before I answer that, Daniel's asking if the match is tied late, does Liverpool push for a winner? To be honest, it's all dependent on the state of the game. Like if it's tied 2-2, I think we'd be fine with a draw. If it's tied 0-0, don't be surprised if Matt Beard goes for the win. Because it's like that's two different circumstances, right? 2-2 means that the game, was, going back and forth and stuff like that. And we were doing well and you guys were doing well. And then eventually just kind of petered out, which is fine. I think he would take that. But if it's at 0-0, we've managed to contain you guys for that long. He might not push everyone forward to go for the win, but he'll kind of put the players in place to counter on City and get a winning goal. Like, that sucker punch kind of goal. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You mean the one that Brighton scored against us?
Listen, if history repeats itself there, I would not be mad. I would not be mad.
I completely understand that.
Yeah.
Kudzi, thank you so much again. I thank you again. Thank you for also jumping in on that question as well. Please tell us where we can find you and your work and your knowledge of the game.
Yeah, so I think the easiest place to find me is my Twitter handle, X handle. I'm just gonna call it Twitter. You all know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's just my first name, Kudzi, and then M for my last name, and then 88, and that's it. That's where you can find me. I tend to post. I've written for different outlets, so I tend to post all of my work on my feed. So if you look me up on The Athletic, I've written there. All for XI, which is for SB Nation, I've written there. Where else have I written? A couple other places. I'm just blanking on them right now. But yeah, most of the time, my work, you can find it on my feed. I post it on my feed, or you can just click on those different handles that I've just mentioned, the different news sites that I've just mentioned, and you can find me there as well.
You heard her, Shady Gang. Booked and busy. Get into it.
I try.
Shady Gang, thank you so much for joining us. Please go follow Kudzi and all of her amazing work. And as always, you know the vibes. Shady Gang, Shady Gang, Shady Gang.